Hi, this is Lukasz from Lucky's True Bodybuilding. Before we dive into the topic, I want to mention one very important thing. What you'll hear in this content is solely my opinion and my personal experience. Not everyone has to agree with this, and I completely understand that. I know there are people who consume huge amounts of protein and claim they achieve excellent results.
And I also experienced these very same effects myself when I was doing it.
When it came to the muscle mass itself, the progress, and my overall physique, everything was perfectly aligned. But considering the side effects that this approach caused and reflecting on what happened to my body long term, over more than a decade of following such a regimen, I can state one thing. For me, it was absolutely not worth the cost. And most importantly, this is not a sustainable approach that can be maintained for years, for many, many years. We must remember that bodybuilding is not a sprint. It is in fact a marathon. If someone simply wants to be a one-season wonder or aims to become a mass monster before turning 30, or by 30 at the absolute most, and then whatever happens, then by all means, they can go right ahead. But if we truly want to pursue this sport for many years, to remain healthy, to train in an effective manner, and not just simply crash and burn, then we absolutely must make some different decisions. That is precisely why I am recording this particular material, because I myself have come to understand certain things, that I was doing them all wrong, and I know what kind of consequences that had at this very moment.
Looking from a perspective, I don't want others to simply repeat the same mistakes. All right, so let's get straight to the point.
So today I want to discuss something that could truly change how many people view their bodybuilding diet. It's about protein, specifically protein, okay? And more precisely, why most of us eat it. There's way too much of it, and it has been for years. If you started training in the 2000s like I did, you know exactly where this approach came from. Magazines like Flex, like Muscle Fitness, athletes eating 7 meals a day, each meal containing 70-80 grams of protein, and everyone said that's the way it had to be, because that's how Jay ate, because that's how Ronnie ate. Well, because that's how a professional athlete's diet used to be. And back then, no one ever talked about the gut, no one mentioned the microbiome, and no one analyzed its impact on insulin levels, on sugar metabolism, on regeneration, or on the health of kidneys or liver. What truly mattered was muscle mass, performance results, and marketing too. Supplement companies really thrived on this, didn't they? The athletes themselves became the public faces of these brands, and their core message was incredibly simple. The more protein you consumed, the better your overall results would be. And I naturally completely bought into that whole idea. And for many, many years, I consumed 400 to 500 grams of animal protein every single day. There were periods when I was even getting close to, there were times when I was consuming up to 550 grams of protein, and that was counted only from whole food sources. And back then, it seemed completely normal to me.
Today, I see that I was very much mistaken. I was always feeling overfull. My stomach was like a balloon.
I'd eat my meal, let's say, at 12, and I could still feel it in my stomach by 6 p.m. During my workouts, I felt sluggish, completely stuffed. My blood sugar was uncontrolled, and I had no energy. And I just thought that's how a bodybuilder's life was supposed to be. It was only when I began to gradually cut down on protein that I truly realized what a massive difference it made. Initially, I went from 450 down to 400, then slowly decreased it to 380, then 350, and finally to 320.
And so, even to this very day, I consume 240, or rather 230 grams of complete high-quality protein.
So with plant-based protein, it will probably come out to around 330 grams, depending on the amount of carbohydrates I consume. And the best thing about it is that I haven't actually lost any muscle. Quite the opposite. My workouts are better. I'm retaining less water. My blood sugar is definitely better. I no longer have that bloated feeling in my stomach. And finally, I just feel normal, like a human being, not just some kind of walking container. But here's the most interesting part. A natural person very often needs significantly more protein than someone who is on hormones.
It sounds absurd, I know, but that's how it works. Yeah, I used to think the opposite, but just wait. I'll explain it to you now. A natural athlete utilizes, I don't know, 40, 50, perhaps 60% of the protein he consumes because his anabolism is low, protein synthesis is low, and his nitrogen balance is low.
An individual taking hormones, on growth hormone, insulin, a substantial dosage of anabolics,
Makes use of
90, close to 100%. Amino acid transport is more efficient. Anabolism is simply elevated. Nitrogen balance is positive around the clock, not just after a workout. So, paradoxically, an individual with the highest anabolic capabilities actually acquires less protein, not more, because their body simply operates with greater efficiency. Therefore, consuming 500 grams of protein merely because champions did it that way truly makes no sense.
It doesn't give you more muscle, but it causes many more problems. It damages your intestines, ruins your microbiome, and raises insulin at the wrong time.
It might seem helpful in practice or even in theory, it could be beneficial, but in reality, it simply lowers the overall quality of your training. And if the quality of your workout decreases, then hypertrophy won't be optimal either. I describe everything in much greater detail within the article that I've posted on the forum. There are two distinct sections where I truly elaborate on the subject matter. So if you want to get the complete picture, then please visit our forum. The forum link, as always, is in the description below. You'll also find my discount codes there and all the latest information. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your support. Thank you for... Awesome. You make great interactions in the comments.
also
I always ask you to leave a comment, a like, and share this video if you found it enjoyable. So once again, thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next one.